it's like I stop, it makes me stop.
Right.
And I listen.
Are you ready?
Enjoy It's like a voice of an angel. It really is.
Maybe it's changed to make it better for our street. They need to hear from us, but it's still on our street. So it's not. Yeah, so that's we did not get to
I know.
Hi. So did you? Oh, you're welcome. And I've got two more that I need to.
Oh, good.
I have two more that I need to. Different ones.
So the easy way is to get a better direction and keep it.
What was the name of that?
Okay, if we had 7 o'clock, we'll call the public hearing and convene. This is a revision of the stage 1 development plan on our North Fort Thomas Avenue and Highland Avenue development. So we'll ask our secretary to approve the posting first.
Dave Wormwell, Secretary of the Fort Thomas Planning Commission, hereby certify that the attaches a true copy of a notice of a public hearing to be held on Wednesday, August 21st, 2019 at 7 p.m. at the Fort Thomas City Building in Fort Thomas, Kentucky to consider a revised Stage 1 development plan for the properties located at 315-1925 North Fort Thomas Avenue and 9 Highland Avenue in Fort Thomas, Kentucky. The notices were properly posted per KRS 100-212 at 315-1925 North Fort Thomas Avenue and 9 Highland Avenue.
Thank you.
I'd like to announce that the developer is acquiring 2 properties that I own for this new development. So because of that, I will recuse myself for the rest of the hearing and wish my route to county is absent.
Thank you. Got to remind you, this is a revision, not a total relook at the development. As I understand it, the residents of Woodland are pretty much in agreement with the changes because they suggested them. So eventually I'll ask for a person, a spokesperson for that group to come forward. But before that, I'll ask Kevin if he has any comments from the city standpoint.
The original application did have an interest in considering an additional residential unit that has been rescinded by the applicant. So we are simply discussing a minor modification to the corner of the building at Woodland and Highland. Per our regulations, zoning regulations, 17.6.A.6.E. Based on this change, it's however minor it may seem, it is part of the requirements that this come back before a public hearing. So that's why we're here, and this time that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll have our developer come forward and explain to us the change.
Thank you. Rick Greiwe, Greiwe Development. Your body and also the design review board in late May approved the design concept, but many neighbors didn't think it was adequate enough to address their concerns. So a group of them met with Mayor Haas and Ron Dill in mid-June with a long list of concerns. And they asked me then to get involved after that meeting in later June to meet with 2 representatives of the larger neighborhood, Brent Neese and Laura Reynolds. And they had 4 major concerns they laid out very clearly for us. And I think we came to a resolution of those meetings that was satisfactory, and that's why we are asking for these changes. Their first concern was light pollution and the noise from the garage. And you approved a 20-foot wide arch that would be open all the time, so visitors could get easy access to the garage. That's how we've done all our projects. We decided to change that plan to put 2 residential doors on the face of the building where that opening used to be, skinny them down to 9-foot doors. They're quiet residential doors, and they would only open when someone left or entered. There's 9 feet of light, and the light would be directed to the ground anyway inside the garage. So it'd be just like entering your own garage at your house. Same kind of garage door, same kind of residential feel, look, and same kind of operation. So that was the way to address that important issue. This is going to make it a little more inconvenient for visitors, but we have a project in Hyde Park where we did it this way. The visitor stops the car before the door. We have plenty of space between the sidewalk and the building to do that. They press a code to get in, and usually the visitor is a relative of someone who lives there, like a kid home from college, or someone who might be cleaning the residence. So those codes sometimes turn into garage door openers. So it's not going to be a big traffic jam when someone has to stop to get into the garage. Secondly, the next big issue was masking the garage, so when you're coming into Fort Thomas to visit this new commercial development, you don't mistake the garage for a commercial garage, because this is a dead-end street, and people didn't want people driving into their street, looking for parking for the commercial project, and getting stuck in their dead-end street. So the bump out was designed by us and the neighbors to hide the entry. So when you're driving up Highland, you can't even see the entrance to this garage. And that seemed to be a satisfactory way to address that issue. The next issue was slow the speed of cars when they enter and exit the garage. Well, again, majority of our residents will be empty nester seniors, and when you have to negotiate a 9-foot door, you slow down. You don't have the wide arch to play around it. And it's working fine. We've tried some 9-foot doors, and they're plenty wide for cars, but it makes people slow down, and as soon as they turn into the garage, they'll be doing that. And then the last issue was the visibility for pedestrians. Again, this is the same design where cars come out of the garage, and now they're at a complete stop. They're not running from the doors that were inside the garage to a visitor parking garage and going to the outside building. They're at a complete stop. The door opens. They creep out toward the sidewalk. There's plenty of room to look up and down the sidewalk for pedestrians. Plenty of time for pedestrians to see somebody creeping out of the garage. So we think the surface doors on the outside buildings help that concern as well. There's probably 25 other concerns in our development agreement with the city. So the things that the neighborhood was concerned about, construction hours, noise, the address of the property, all kinds of things, we actually codified in our development agreement, which those things don't concern you tonight, but we spent a lot of time working with Laura and Brent to make sure that the things they were worried about would be actually in an agreement, not just a handshake deal. So those are 2 requests. Move the garage doors forward on the face of the building, and they bump out on the corner to hide the entrance.
Thank you. Thank you for now. Okay, like I said, I'd like to, is there a spokesman for Woodland people come forward? I want to hear basically, you're happy with what you just heard?
No, I am not a spokesman for Woodland Place. I can speak for myself. I was in that meeting. I'm Laura Reynolds. I live at 9 Woodland Place. My driveway is directly across from the garage. Brent Neese and I did have a meeting. We did not help, and as far as I know, no one else on Woodland Place helped put this design together. We were presented this design, and I forwarded it on to my neighbors, but nobody's still happy this thing is on our street. Yes, this is a little better, but it's still not great because it's still on our street. And so I just want to set the record straight that I didn't help. I don't think anybody on my street helped. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And nobody is excited it's on our street. still.
Thank you. Okay, I guess we'll,
Whoops. My name's Sharon McKnight. Is this on? Can you hear me?
It's just recording.
Oh, okay. I live at 62 Miller Lane, and so I kind of represent Miller Lane. So, and we had some issues, so I'd like to get some clarity from you guys, if that's okay, since this is a public hearing on the parking shortage and the
okay, I'm
traffic.
gonna stop you there.
Okay, well,
This is a revision, we're talking about this corner, garage doors and the corner bump out.
So
We're gonna go
public
back
hearing-
and all this stuff about the other thing in the two previous hearings,
I know, I was
which
there.
we've already approved.
Okay, well,
So I'm not gonna go
I
back to
understand
that.
that, but there was some stuff that was still confusing, and I just needed clarity for some people.
It's all public record, man.
Oh, I know, I recorded, my son's records
Okay, you
this,
can-
but there's
You
still
can read it,
confusion.
whatever, but it's, we don't need to hash it. I'll give you 3 minutes, how's that?
Okay, the parking shortage, could you explain that, the 20 short parking shortage? Where are you gonna put the extra parking cars? Or is it going behind Highland, the building of Highland, or that comes down Miller Lane? You're short 20 spots for the parking, for the business part. You have 1 parking space per 300 square feet. 85 parking spaces on-site required, but due to some business hours of operation, it is adjusted to 60, but there's only 40 on-site provided. So Kevin was telling everybody that you guys have leeway on that, and you were gonna, I guess, do a study, a parking study on this. And that's what I'm asking, where is this extra 20 people gonna park?
The study hasn't been complete, but there were considerations for, there is a public parking spot
Behind
behind
Highland.
18 Highland
Yes,
that has a number of public parking spaces. We haven't come to any conclusion as to if we're gonna make improvements back there just yet. There's other areas of parking adjacent to the site which pick up, we can't consider in the development plan, but there's a number of spaces along the site itself. I don't remember off the top of my head, if I'm not mistaken.
well, see, you're saying that 1 parking space per 300 square feet for the building, so I'm assuming that the Highland building, all those buildings, have so many parking spots already allotted. 31 are the city owns, and it's kind of full during the day. We walk by it all the time. The cars come up the street, they take a right down Miller, which is one way, then they go down Hagedorn, or they go through Convenient, and they come up one way to Lumley, which we just have so much traffic from the schools in the morning and in the afternoon. We're concerned about that.
Mhm.
So do you understand why I'm up here talking from
Absolutely. Like I said, we just don't have all the exact numbers as far as how many could possibly be added back behind the Highland building. Once again, that's public parking as well. There is
Yeah.
a number of spots associated with the Highland building that is private parking for their specific occupancies, but then also public parking. So, unfortunately, I can't give you an exact answer as to where we're picking up exactly 20. But
that's not
once
a
again, there's a lot of on-street parking. If you even go down, if somebody's going to these occupancies, they could certainly park as far down as Fifth Third or beyond.
Well, yeah, they can come all the way in front of our house on
Sure.
Miller Lane. I mean, so it's just because you don't have it there, and it's shared use parkage. And it's supposed to be convenient and seeing parking. I don't think going across the street and going behind another building is really convenient.
Well, they are access points that can get across to the site from behind the building. There's one,
Oh, I know.
yeah, there's a couple
Yeah,
access
country,
points. So it's
like-
within, I think, I don't remember the discussion originally, 500 feet of the specific site. So that's what part of the consideration may have been with our planning commission.
So that part's not concrete. So that, you guys have leeway to change that for this development. Is that what you're saying? That's just not.
They already did.
They already did, okay. Well, see, that wasn't clear in the meeting, okay? And I have another thing about the traffic. you had a traffic study done by Mr. Tregus, and he was saying that we were at a level D of service in the AM and the afternoon, Monday through Friday there. And then with the addition to this condominium units in the business, in the next 10 years, we're going to be at an E level. From a scale from A to F, to me, I think you're working the wrong way. You think you'd want to work up, because adding just one more car, and especially with the school traffic, it's just horrendous coming out of Lumley. That's where we're all coming out of at the same time. And that is a big concern, is the traffic. And that's what I wanted more clarity too on that.
So just a few things. Mr. Tweehus was just the engineer that reviewed a traffic study by an independent study, number one. But, you know, I can't really speak to the traffic in any way, unfortunately.
I
Mr.
can't,
Tweehus
it's bad.
is not here. And, you know, well,
So-
one thing, and we all know in Fort Thomas, I think this was part of the discussion, that 20 minutes around school times, it's bad. But, you know, there were several people, there's not a ton of traffic the rest of the day through those areas. It's just a matter of fact that we have with schools that we have, so.
Well, I understand that, but you think you'd want to try to alleviate that without putting so many residentials in such a congested intersection that's got 4 schools. And so that's what we needed more clarity about this. This is what's kind of baffling to us.
Well, and once again, based on the study, it didn't seem to, and once again, I'm not privy to the study, I didn't review it significantly, it wasn't my purview, but from my recollection, they essentially said that it would not add significant traffic. It would not add a significant amount of traffic.
So the only study you did was the cars, but you don't come down and ask any of us for our input on it, like, you know, do you think this would be a good thing to do? You know, I mean, I think if you had more dialogue with the public.
Well, I
You
mean,
know,
that's
you have-
difficult to do.
Traffic studies
Well, is it really?
Traffic studies are black and white. They count cars in windows of time, and then they have formulas.
Oh, I
They
understand.
explain all that, so that's what they did, like Kevin said, they determined that this development is not added significantly to the traffic. And they recognize that schools have 45-minute window in the morning and the afternoon where we have our issues, and that's not gonna be any different with or without a development.
Well, when you have a development, you have a city that sells to schools and people that are leaving, like on our street, their kids are grown, they're moving out to the county where the taxes are lower, and younger families are moving in. So you're gonna have people coming in there, buying, I guess, higher-end condos to get into those schools that we're selling. So you are adding to it, and you're making it a need, which I think maybe that I know that's gonna be too big of a development. It needs to be scaled down, but
I just add that I believe that the change in DEP was over
10 years, from
10
2020
years.
to 2030.
So it's taking into consideration not only development here, but the development overall in Fort Thomas.
Yes,
And
and-
changes in population. So it's, I think ultimately what they're saying is, in 10 years, with or without the development, we're gonna be a,
And you guys are happy with that? Is that acceptable for the city to be an E versus an F? I mean, that's what I'm asking. Are you guys happy with that? That's acceptable?
I don't think you have a choice
Uh,
at the end of the day, in
Right.
10 years.
That's why we thought you guys would work on a solution to make it better. That's why I thought you
Yeah.
guys,
Correct. Fort Thomas has X number of schools and are located on each end in the middle.
right in the, and
Because
that's
they
ground
chose to
zero.
put 3 within walking distance schools, and we maintained that when we started Moyer development in Woodville and Johnson now.
But you still have a lot of
That was
drive.
a public decision to do. You know, you got, Fort Thomas Avenue is a fixed width, you can't make it any bigger.
Absolutely,
I'm blessed that
exactly.
it's as wide as it is.
That, I know, that's a lot of stuff to be putting on a fixed width.
And that's-
I understand that.
So
So
some
you
things
can't
are not
have
changed. We are on a ridge, Fort Thomas is built on
I
ridges.
know that, I know that.
The other thing that you gotta, the other thing to just keep in mind, actually, in Highland and Norfolk Thomas is, when you calculate a level of service, like they did in the traffic impact study, it's based on a stop condition where you have a stop sign.
Sure.
It doesn't
Sure.
count for a crossing guard that's actually allowing people
Oh, I understand that.
to flow through, so it's not exactly apples to apples.
I looked up my stuff, I became, I looked up my stuff on Wikipedia on this level, on your traffic, but it is concerning about our neighborhood, and we thought maybe some more open dialogue would be a little better,
Now,
so we.
And I think the concerns about people using convene as a cut through and going back Hagedorn as a cut through.
Yeah, no, they're lonely, our
I mean,
streets.
I think that's a kind of a separate, I mean, it's a concern, I'm familiar with that too, but I think it's a part of a larger discussion, separate from the specifics of what we're talking about with it.
Well, I don't know, adding that many residential in one place, that's why we brought up the concern, so. But, this is new to me, so I'm trying to understand this. So is the people on the lane and everybody in this town, so thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you. Anyone
Okay,
else?
thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
Funny difference, when I'm in the south end of town, so this does not directly affect me, but, I'm just curious about something he mentioned. And that was in your discussion with the neighborhood, that it is, all of this is really directly affecting. There's other points, a list of 20-some points that are of concern. And I know traffic and construction and all of that stuff is probably in that, if I'm not mistaken, just by sitting back and, I come down here, you guys see me all the time now. But I also have been trying to be as involved with the city. I try to get to the functions, I get to the art around town and all that. So is there somewhere that we will know, I know it's not that dealing with the garage doors right now, but is there somewhere that we're gonna be able to know, the rest of us that weren't privy to that meeting, that has that list of concerns? Because I'm sure that more than just that street is going to be concerned about those 25 points. Just wondering, is there somewhere that we will know what those concerns are, and are there going to be input to some of those concerns?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah, I'll decide.
Thank you, thanks a lot.
So these are mainly logistical concerns that we always address when we're doing a construction project in a tight site in a community, because everybody is concerned. You know, what are the hours of operation of construction? You know, how is it going to be fenced so everybody's safe? How do we make sure that you know, the entrance and exit to the site is safe? All those things are in a development agreement that the city is signing with us, so they're codified, and we follow the rules, which we want to do anyway. And one example is we're going to notify people on Woodland of any changes in what's going on. So we would say, hey, the demolition is going to be starting in a week, and you know, this is what you can expect. So every phase we send an email out to the residents, and a few people help me collect those email addresses, so we can communicate directly with them so they can know what's happening. And then we'll also have a website where if you really are curious about that, you can go and learn about it as well. So those are the kind of things in there.
Input to that?
There's no, the input is finished.
No. On that notification, I get the neighborhood right here, but is there gonna be somewhere that we can have that actual
Sure.
website? Because it does affect
Yeah.
the town. If we wanna be down that road, we might wanna make plans, but maybe this is a good time not to make
Yeah,
plans.
I know.
That's all I'm
We
saying.
have a website called FortThomasLifestyle.com, and we're going to start loading that with content that has to do with the next phase.
FortThomasLifestyle.com?
Yes.
Oh, great, thank you.
It's important, that agreement is between the city management. It has anything to do with us as the planning commission.
Oh, no, I understand, and since he brought that up, I wanted to know, because then I didn't know about the website, that way we know when we might want to avoid a certain part of town.
Anyone else out there?
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Tiffany Huber, I'm from 26 Hawthorne. I guess the question that arose during this hearing is the fact that fellow citizens were supposedly asked about these changes, and I think what I'm hearing is that they actually weren't asked about the changes. So how do we reconcile that? Because that's kind of a concern to me right now.
Sounds like it was discussed with them.
But it wasn't.
Well, I'm not
Mr. Greiwe is saying it is,
100% sure of that.
and the
Okay.
street is saying it wasn't.
It was discussed, they just didn't agree.
Right.
We talked about it plenty.
I think that's a huge red flag.
Well, they were evidently informed about it. They knew this hearing was gonna happen, and they knew
Yes.
what the change was gonna be discussed at this hearing. I assume that's correct.
So,
Okay.
so I would like to
They may not
note,
have said that they were opposed, and whether you blessed it before walking here tonight, I don't really care, in a sense. You're getting your chance to say yes or no.
well, I didn't know we were gonna talk about these meetings tonight, and my neighbors didn't either, or they
Well,
would
that's
have
what
been
your,
here.
your posting was, okay, that
That
there was a
wasn't
hearing and what
clear.
it was all about. Okay.
That wasn't here.
Okay.
I'm just concerned about the dishonesty, and I would vote no,
I don't
just
wanna
solely
say
on that.
dishonesty, I'm not gonna.
You don't have to say
Because I
that.
don't know.
Maybe it's not dishonesty, but it's misleading.
Don't even know that.
You may not know that, but unless you misspoke.
I'd like to amend my comment.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly what happens.
Okay.
I have to be very careful what I say, because I know this is very contentious.
Yes.
I was asked by the mayor and the city manager to look at a list of issues that were presented by the neighborhood via an email from Laura Reynolds and Brett Neese. We went through each of those issues face-to-face with them, and also afterward with my architect, and tried to figure out how we could address those issues the best way. Well, how could we address the issues? So we put solutions next to each issue. I informed them through an email afterwards what we were gonna do, and this is our best efforts. If the plan's already been approved, we don't have to do this. We wanna do it because we wanna address your issues, and that's what we did. We made our best efforts to do that. We put it in a development agreement with the city. It was presented to council a month ago. Council approved that development agreement, and tonight I'm here to make some changes that address the issues that I was presented by the neighborhood, quote unquote, with the participation of representatives that still don't agree with the project, like Laura, and people that do. You know, they had both sides at the meeting. So I made my best attempt. I'm doing it because I'd like to do this in the spirit of good faith, but I didn't have to make these changes. This plan's been approved on May 28th. So that's how it happened. There wasn't any magic about it, there wasn't any deceit. The public wasn't engaged except the mayor and the manager of the neighborhood. I don't know how many people were at the meeting, I wasn't invited, but lots of people. And then we had to get two people to sit down with me to iron these things out, and it was Brent and Laura. And we hammered this out over, an hour or so. I went back and made some solutions, gave them back to Ron Dill. Ron Dill presented them to the city council. I accepted them. Several neighborhoods were informed of that because the development was discussed at council. So this was a process that I didn't think I had to have another meeting with all the neighbors. I did this because I wanted to be acting in good faith. So that's how it worked.
Anyone else out there? Okay, clarify the situation, doesn't mean. Yes, sir.
I'm Bill Zink, I live at 1817 Northwood Thomas.
Identify yourself so that we record it.
Pardon me? Am I already now?
Yeah, say who you were.
My name is Bill Zink at 1870 Northwood Thomas Avenue. Does he happen to have a plan with him tonight? I'm a bit late and interested in this, but I'd love to see the plan sometime.
Sure, it was published, but it was not. This is in the public notice.
Okay.
There's an entrance to the garage with two small doors.
All right. Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
I have-
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Sharon McKnight, 62 Miller Lane. I have a suggestion. So, we would like our input to be heard. We thought that we were actually helping you, and we tried to give you our input and on all this. And I think a better way of trying to get a hold of more people in the city is maybe mail something directly to the house. Because I have some older people on our street that aren't on social media, and my son records these, so I can send them the link and stuff, so they know what's going on, because I don't want to put a spin on them. I want them to be able to see what's going on, because this is affecting our neighborhood. This is our neighborhood. But, you know, as soon as you tear down the first building, you're gonna have somebody standing saying, what the heck? I didn't even know this was going on. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying that there's just a better way, like knocking on people's doors, hey, this is happening, or mail out something, because you guys have to reach people a little better, because this is concerning. I mean, to me, this is changing the whole fabric of our town, so, and it's my neighborhood, and I love it very much, but that's a suggestion, so if you use it, I think you could reach more people.
Yeah, the city has procedures that it's
Well, we-
postings and all that.
I know, but
Fort
you can.
Thomas Matters, Facebook has been all over this issue.
Okay, well, I have older people that
I
aren't,
know.
they just told you.
It's us younger people that it's up to
Yeah.
us to inform the people who only have computers or read Facebook.
Well,
We can't do that. We can't set each one of you an individual in grade 11. It happens.
Yeah, you can. You got $1.6 million to give us for parking lots.
If you're in a budding property owner, you would get sent a letter.
I'm just,
How about if you give me your email address, and then you can get it to everybody?
I mean, I'm doing my best, and I don't even, these people are coming up to me asking about it. I love
Can
them.
I just make one comment?
Yeah.
I understand what you're asking, and really, it's not this body that would address it,
Okay,
it's council. And city council has been talking about transparency, they've been
Yes.
talking about how do we get information out. So, you're at the wrong party for that.
I know, but see,
So,
the
if
party-
you come to, it is, I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying where you want to hear your voice heard would be come to a city council meeting. They're in the third.
I know, I'm there,
Okay,
I'm in the audience,
then
but we
you,
didn't even get to talk last time because it was done in executive. So it was all voted on.
but what I'm saying, as far as this transparency issue and this openness,
Yes,
address council.
oh,
Come to
we have.
council meeting.
People have, and I've talked to council members about it, but, I mean, a good time to start would be now. In
Yeah,
case,
she
because
said
if this is phase one, and you got,
Transparency belongs to council.
I know,
The
but this,
public hearings that we had at the mess hall, 200 people each time.
I know,
So they're
I was
fine.
there.
Yay, we like it, yay, we don't like it, and all the questions. We went through that for like 2.5 hours each time.
but we're the stakeholders.
Ma'am, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I've heard all your comments, and I
Okay.
appreciate those. But as to the amendment to this plan, are you for or against the amendment to this plan? Not the plan has been approved
I know,
months ago.
and that's what we still get questions about. And
But
we're- we are not-
but that's not what we're here to address tonight.
I know,
So I
right.
just wondered, are you for or against changing the one garage door to two and to bump out the
I'm
building?
kind of against the whole thing, so I'm not the
Okay.
person to ask.
Okay, well, I
I'm
just,
just
I
saying this
haven't
is a-
heard anybody, you know, I've heard that everybody's against, the people who spoke that are against the whole plan, but that's not what we're here to address tonight. The plan's been approved, it's really just, do you want two garage doors and do you want the building to stick out a little more to shield those garage doors
I
from the street?
understand, but so we've got to go in front of the city council again and tell them that we'd like to be more informed with the down the road projects that's coming.
Yeah.
But I think what Mr. Michael's asking you is, the plan as it exists now has been approved.
Yes.
So tonight, they're deciding, should we amend that to two garage doors and a bump out? And what he's trying to find out is, are you against the bump out of the garage doors, which means the plan would stay as is, and the amendment would not be approved? Or do you want the bump out in the garage
I would
doors?
have to see the study on how that would affect my street.
Okay.
And it's not my street, but I'm just saying, I would have to see the study, and it
Well, that's
wasn't
what
my
he just was
street.
interested in, if you're
But
against
when
it.
it comes to the top of my street, will you please influence? I will bring that up to the city. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
And just real quick, I just wanted to tag on to what Tim said. you know, for all, and not, this isn't specific to the development this evening, and we're talking about the bump outs and the garage door, but in general, the planning commission meets the third Wednesday of every
Yes.
month for any project in the city.
I know.
Okay, so if you're residents on Miller, or anywhere else in the city for that matter, if they're really interested in what's happening to potential developments in the city, come every Wednesday, the third Wednesday of the month, and find out what's going on.
Well, I know, but sometimes I'm busy. That's
I
why I'm
understand.
asking, I'll ask the city councilman if they can join it. So I can watch. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else out there? Okay, at this time, we're gonna discuss it amongst ourselves. Anybody have any comments, clarifications of what we're actually entertaining or thinking about tonight?
Kevin, does the bump out affect anything with the setback or anything else that we need to be concerned about?
I don't believe so. So in the central business district, there is no setbacks. It's based on a development plan, so there isn't a minimum setback or a variance or anything like that for setbacks. I think in all, looking at this and review, it doesn't affect anything else that I see.
Just to confirm, you haven't received any other written comments from the public or any other stakeholders about this revision? Correct.
If no other comments, I'll entertain a motion one way or the other, either a motion to amend or deny.
I will move to, that we approve the amendment to the development plan as stated with the garage doors and the bump out as well.
Second. Second down here at the end, Larry. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So ordered. Thank you for your opinion.
I don't see it. This is my own now. How far down?